remember me?
They took Furiosa!
You crawled out of a pitiless grave. Only one thing's gonna do that. Revenge. But you will never. Going to get me.
Hello, Mr. Buzz. How are we doing?
Very good. How are you, Alex?
I'm very good and pumped to discuss today's Furiosa. We've been waiting for this for years, to be honest.
Yeah.
We went and watched it in IMAX in Sheffield, which was very good. I think that's the way to do it. And yeah, Furiosa, what a film. What a film indeed. It's, the story of this is pretty simple. I think everybody knows what it is about. It's Furiosa's, it's a prequel to Fury Road, and it's Furiosa's origin story, sort of, from when she was a child, growing up in the green place, all the way to becoming the Furiosa that we see in the Tom Hardy film. But yeah, we actually recently rewatched Fury Road also, the Tom Hardy as Mad Max. So first impressions, Baz, on what you thought between the two of them. What's your general overall?
Yeah, so some little idea of the comparison of the two. So yeah, I watched obviously Fury Road, a mere 24 hours before we went to IMAX to watch Furiosa, and I'm really glad I did do that actually, because to compare them, after watching them such close amount of time, there is definitely a vibe change. First and foremost, Furiosa, wow, it looks amazing, absolutely fantastic. What an experience. I think you'd agree to watch it in the IMAX. It really was an enjoyable experience because it just looks fantastic. And it looked, I think both of us commented that it looked very much like Dune, with the environment and the shots and the spanning shots of the deserts and what have you. Yeah. So straight away, I would almost argue that this Furiosa looks better than Fury Road, but obviously it's got a few years on it and the technology's advanced, so maybe we'll look the other way with that. But yeah, what a really enjoyable film, fantastic. I have to say the main thing I noticed, and I think you'd agree with me, is the vibe of the film, the vibe and the tension of the film. I think Furiosa is a bit more like, it's almost like a documentary style take on that world and that environment, because it's all very gritty and real and quite sinister at some points, and it's incredibly violent. I know the first film was as well, but it's kind of more in a John Wayne kind of shoot 'em up kind of violent in Fury Road, whereas in Furiosa it's some really quite sickening scenes, I would say, or maybe I'm getting more sensitive, but didn't you agree that that was a difference between the two, at least, was the vibe and the tone of the film?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think this Furiosa is much more a world-building type of film. And actually, if you ever want to recommend the order of the films to see, you definitely go see Furiosa first.
Yeah, you would.
And it'll probably, it's very complimentary and makes Fury Road even better if you see them in that order, isn't it? Because it's sort of, you get introduced to this insane world in Furiosa, with every location that we know about and we heard about in Fury Road is shown in full glory here. The characters, the motivations, you see the survival theme of this post-apocalyptic world, and then you get introduced to these characters as they try to survive and, well, in case of Furiosa, get her revenge. And it's definitely a totally different pace. It's a much slower pace compared to the first one, and the first one was a non-stop go chase, basically, is the whole film. This one spans over 15 years or something, and Fury Road is like 3 days, isn't it? Because they have like 2 nights and something like that. So absolutely yes, but also the very beginning of the film introduces you in a different way than Fury Road, because like you said, is much more grounded, and it just shows you people are kidnapping, people are chopping up horses to eat and trading meat and trading human beings quickly in the beginning, and that automatically takes a step into the serious kind of film compared to the bonkers that Fury Road is, and that's what made the difference. I think that what you're talking about, isn't it?
I think you're spot on there. I think when you say it's kind of more like it's world embracing. So if you're interested in that lore of Fury Road and the ins and outs of how the culture works after the post-apocalyptic universe and all the nuclear attacks happen. It really does get in deep to that, and I think it's spot on. But as it shows how dirty the world actually is, and where there was a bit of a jokey kind of humorous vibe to Fury Road, it isn't anywhere in Furiosa at all. It's really meat and two veg, and shows it for how graphic it is. And as you say, obviously we get introduced to like Immortan Joe in Fury Road and Mad Max himself and Furiosa, but the backstory to these characters makes them a lot more meaty. Do you know what I mean? It makes them a lot more explains them in depth more, and I think that's a really good thing about the film. But yeah, definitely a slower pace to this one, 100%. Would you have? Go on.
Still really good on. Like you said, cinematography is absolutely impressive. You will get everything that you've got in Fury Road in regards to action. Stunts are amazing. The way the war boys and they kill each other, and the fights are absolutely insane. So I love that part. The music is also fantastic. It's pumping in the background to get your heart rate raised all the time. So all of that is, again, you'll get here. So it's absolutely worth seeing, just going for that on the biggest screen you can get. But what did you thought about Dementus, Chris Hemsworth's character?
Dementus has to have all the hallmarks of charismatic leaders.
Hey!
He needs to be accessible and mysterious at the same time.
We cannot be soft!
There's a flamboyant sort of nature to this guy, certainly, which was fun.
Who's got the goods, the bollocks, the testes to ride with Dementus?
What Chris brought was wonderful. He does become the face of Furiosa's home.
Dementus is violent, unpredictable, just a little unhinged.
The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Yeah. Well, stole the show 100%. I mean, he got the best lines in terms of humour, didn't he? And it's quite odd actually, because the first when you're introduced to him, it's almost like this Messiah-looking Jesus figure, and then as soon as he opens his mouth, he's anything but that. He's he's a god amongst his tribe, but he himself is just a slime ball, isn't he? And he's got this kind of Australian humour wit about him.
Yes.
It's all about him and how powerful he can get, but he's portraying himself as I say, this bringer of freedom and food and water to all these scavengers that follow him, loyally.
Yeah.
But no, he gets the best lines, and I actually, that's one of the things I would say. I think he could have had a bit more dialogue, I'd say, because the scenes with the dialogue in the film break up the action quite nicely. I'm not one to complain about too much action. Can you have too much action in a film? But there was a hell of a lot of action compared to dialogue scenes, which I actually think the dialogue in the film was quite well written. Did you think it could have added benefit if there's a bit more scenes with them talking, the characters?
I mean, considering the pace is different than the first, it would have welcomed a bit more character building, let's call it. And I'm not talking about Furiosa. I'm talking about, because Furiosa is her whole film. Her character gets built through the film because you watch her from a child. But a bit more about Dementus backstory early on instead of later in the game, like we have. A bit more about Jack, the other Imperator that Furiosa teams up with. Yeah. It would have, and that would have been either through some backstory or dialogue. You can set that in place. That would have been welcomed, but because of the action sequence, there's a big chunky action sequence for about 20 minutes in the middle of the film. Is a chase again, which works well. Which it's like a trademark of George Miller. It's a chase. And that apparently was filmed in 76 days, that whole sequence, which is insane. And after that, you want to take a breather, but it keeps going. So maybe after that, it would have been nice to have some dialogue or some like, wow, okay, that's ended. Now let's take let's chill for a second, because it was just mental and completely like gripping. And that's when it hit me with, like you said, the action kept going instead of slowing down a little bit to get the audience a bit of a breather, didn't you think?
Yes, I would agree with that, and I think, as you say, it's more the middle chunk of the film. It was just seemed a little bit too continuous. Not to take anything away from these scenes, they were absolutely fantastic. You know, I mean, I want to watch the film again. You know, just for these scenes alone. But it would have just been nice to have maybe a bit more playing around with the set piece and of when they are in the film, these set pieces. But another thing as well that I thought was a little bit odd about the film, and I'm not sure if you would agree, but we were talking about realism when we left the cinema and said how this film takes itself a lot more seriously than Fury Road, a lot more seriously. And some of the elements in the film didn't really quite add up in terms of just some of the scenes that Furiosa, shall we say, survives, seemed a little bit not really comprehensive with how the film portrayed itself in terms of it taking itself seriously. Whereas if the same things were to happen in Fury Road, it would just be, it's just another crazy action sequence where, you know, the main characters miraculously survive. I'm not sure if you
anything goes. Yeah, that's exactly
anything goes.
Yeah. It's a fine line between setting up the early on in the film, like in Fury Road, it sets you up with this is a bonkers world, anything goes here. You know, whatever happens, those people flying around and jumping off cars and all of that, that's never going to be realistic in Fury Road, because you know from the get-go that's what it's going to be. But then when you step into trying it to make it a more, and I'm not talking really, this is a post-apocalyptic world, it doesn't exist. So, but when you're trying, your approach is like the filming or the narrative approach is much more grounded and serious. Then you would want some of the actions of the characters to be realistic, such as the survival or such as the things that you just said about Furiosa's action. So yeah, that is but when I watched it, I kept my mindset very closer to the Fury Road, anything goes bonkers type of world, because that's what it is. The conception of this crazy post-apocalyptic world is bonkers. And I kept it that way, and I enjoyed it very much, to be honest. It was absolute joy to watch it.
Yeah, it really was. And just to kind of add to that as well, it's like, you know, obviously in Fury Road you had this chap with the guitar on top of the truck, didn't you? And that just seemed normal in that film, whereas this one, it seemed a little bit out of place, I thought, you know. I know obviously that's part of the
He's finding his way, trying to see where can I fit in the film.
Yeah. As you said, if you were going to watch them in chronological order, I think it would it'd be nice to actually watch them both in one day, to be honest, because it'd be like you'd have the joy of the Furiosa and that world, and then you get the almost
exhausting
enjoyment. You get the popcorn film of Fury Road to watch afterwards, which is almost kind of like the dessert, if you will. You know, it'd be like the fun thing to watch after you've just had this main meal of backstory and realism and sinisterness. You know,
absolutely.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you'd like to watch another video relating to the Mad Max world, check out Alex's video here, in which he discusses the making of Fury Road and the chaos behind it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.